Hadīth 1. Narrated Adi bin Hatim, I asked the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, about the game killed by a mirad, that is, a sharp-edged piece of wood or a piece of wood provided with a sharp piece of iron used for hunting. He said, if the game is killed with its sharp edge, eat of it, but if it is killed with its shaft with a hit by its broad side, then the game is unlawful to eat, for it has been beaten to death. I asked him about the game killed by a trained hound. He said, if the hound catches the game for you, eat of it, for killing the game by the hound is like its slaughtering. But if you see with your hound or hounds another dog, and you are afraid that it might have shared in hunting the game with your hound and killed it, then you should not eat of it, because you have mentioned Allah's name on sending your hound only, but you have not mentioned it on some other hound. Hadīth 2. Narrated Adi bin Hatim, I asked Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, about the mirad. He said, if you hit the game with its sharp edge, eat it, but if the mirad hits the game with its shaft with a hit by its broad side, do not eat it, for it has been beaten to death with a piece of wood, that is, unlawful. I asked, if I let loose my trained hound after a game? He said, if you let loose your trained hound after a game, and mention the name of Allah, then you can eat. I said, if the hound eats of the game? He said, then you should not eat of it, for the hound has hunted the game for itself and not for you. I said, sometimes I send my hound and then I find some other hound with it. He said, don't eat the game, as you have mentioned the name of Allah on your dog only and not on the other. Hadīth 3. Narrated Adi bin Hatim, I said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. We let loose our trained hounds after a game? He said, eat what they hunt for you. I said, even if they killed the game? He replied, even if they killed the game. I said, we also hit the game with the mirad? He said, eat of the animal which the mirad kills by piercing its body, but do not eat of the animal which is killed by the broad side of the mirad. Hadīth 4. Narrated Abu Thalabah al-Kushani, I said, O Allah's Prophet. We are living in a land ruled by the people of the Scripture. Can we take our meals in their utensils? In that land there is plenty of game and I hunt the game with my bow and with my hound that is not trained and with my trained hound. Then what is lawful for me to eat? He said, as for what you have mentioned about the people of the Scripture, if you can get utensils other than theirs, do not eat out of theirs, but if you cannot get other than theirs, wash their utensils and eat out of it. If you hunt an animal with your bow after mentioning Allah's name, eat of it, and if you hunt something with your trained hound after mentioning Allah's name, eat of it, and if you hunt something with your untrained hound, and get it before it dies, and slaughter it, eat of it. Hadīth 5. Narrated Abdullāh bin Mughaffal, that he saw a man throwing stones with 2 fingers, at something, and said to him, do not throw stones, for Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, has forbidden throwing stones, or he used to dislike it. Abdullāh added, throwing stones will neither hunt the game, nor kill, or hurt, an enemy, but it may break a tooth or gouge out an eye. Afterwards Abdullāh once again saw the man throwing stones. He said to him, I tell you that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, has forbidden or disliked the throwing of stones, in such a way, yet you are throwing stones. I shall not talk to you for such and such a period. Hadīth 6. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whoever keeps a pet dog which is neither a watch dog nor a hunting dog, will get a daily deduction of 2 qirat from his good deeds. Hadīth 7. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, I heard the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, if someone keeps a dog neither for hunting, nor for guarding livestock, the reward, for his good deeds, will be reduced by 2 qirats per day. Hadīth 8. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, if someone keeps a dog neither for guarding livestock, nor for hunting, his good deeds will decrease, in reward, by 2 qirats a day. Hadīth 9. Narrated Adi bin Hatim, I asked Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, we hunt with the help of these hounds. He said, if you let loose your trained hounds after a game, and mention the name of Allah, then you can eat what the hounds catch for you, even if they killed the game. But you should not eat of it if the hound has eaten of it, for then it is likely that the hound has caught the game for itself. And if other hounds join your hound in hunting the game, then do not eat of it. Hadīth 10. Narrated Adi bin Hatim, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, if you let loose your hound after a game and mention Allah's name on sending it, and the hound catches the game and kills it, then you can eat of it. But if the hound eats of it, then you should not eat thereof, for the hound has caught it for itself. And if along with your hound joined other hounds, and Allah's name was not mentioned at the time of their sending, and they catch an animal and kill it, you should not eat of it, for you will not know which of them has killed it. And if you have thrown an arrow at the game and then find it, dead, 2 or 3 days later, and it bears no mark other than the wound inflicted by your arrow, then you can eat of it. But if the game is found, dead, in water, then do not eat of it. Hadīth 11. And it has also been narrated by Adi bin Hatim that he asked the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, if a hunter throws an arrow at the game and after tracing it for 2 or 3 days he finds it dead but still bearing his arrow, can he eat of it? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied, he can eat if he wishes. Hadīth 12. Narrated Adi bin Hatim, I said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. I let loose my hound after a game and mention Allah's name on sending it. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, if you let loose your hound after a game and you mention Allah's name on sending it and the hound catches and kills the game and eats of it, then you should not eat of it, for it has killed it for itself. I said, sometimes when I send my hound after a game, I find another hound along with it and I do not know which of them has caught the game. He said, you must not eat of it because you have not mentioned the name of Allah except on sending your own hound, and you did not mention it on the other hound. Then I asked him about the game hunted with a mirad, that is, a sharp-edged piece of wood or a piece of wood provided with a sharp piece of iron used for hunting. He said, if the game is killed with its sharp edge, you can eat of it, but if it is killed by its broad side, shaft, you cannot eat of it, for then it is like an animal beaten to death with a piece of wood. Hadīth 13. Narrated Adi bin Hatim, I asked Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, we hunt with these hounds. He said, if you send your trained hounds after a game and mention Allah's name on sending, you can eat of what they catch for you. But if the hound eats of the game, then you must not eat of it, for I am afraid that the hound caught it for itself, and if another hound joins your hounds, during the hunt, you should not eat of the game. Hadīth 14. Narrated Abu Thalabah al-Kushani, I came to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. We are living in the land of the people of the Scripture and we take our meals in their utensils, and in the land there is game and I hunt with my bow, and trained or untrained hounds, please tell me what is lawful for us of that. He said, as for your saying that you are living in the land of the people of the Scripture and that you eat in their utensils, if you can get utensils other than theirs, do not eat in their utensils, but if you do not find, other than theirs, then wash their utensils and eat in them. As for your saying that you are in the land of game, if you hunt something with your bow, and have mentioned Allah's name while hunting, then you can eat the game. And if you hunt something with your trained hound, and have mentioned Allah's name on sending it for hunting, then you can eat the game. But if you hunt something with your untrained hound and you were able to slaughter it before its death, you can eat of it. Hadīth 15. Narrated Anas bin Malik, we provoked a rabbit at Marr az-Zahran till it started jumping. My companions chased it till they got tired. But I alone ran after it and caught it and brought it to Abu Talha. He sent both its legs to the Prophet who accepted them. Hadīth 16. Narrated Abu Qatada, that once he was with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, on the way to Makkah. When he had covered some of the way to Makkah, he and some companions of his, who were in the state of Ihram, remained behind the Prophet while Abu Qatada himself was not in the state of Ihram. Abu Qatada, seeing an onager, rode his horse and asked his companions to hand him a whip, but they refused. He then asked them to hand him his spear, but they refused. Then he took it himself and attacked the onager and killed it. Some of the companions of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, ate of it, but some others refused to eat. When they met Allah's apostle they asked him about that. He said, "It was meal given to you by Allah." Hadith 17. Narrated Abu Qatada, the same hadith above, but he added, "The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, asked, is there any of its meat left with you?" Hadith 18. Narrated Abu Qatada, I was with the Prophet, on a journey, between Makkah and Medina, and all of them, that is, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and his companions, were in the state of Ihram, while I was not in that state. I was riding my horse and I used to be fond of ascending mountains. So while I was doing so, I noticed that the people were looking at something. I went to see what it was, and behold it was an onager. I asked my companions, "What is that?" They said, "We do not know." I said, "It is an onager." They said, "It is what you have seen." I had left my whip, so I said to them, "Hand to me my whip." They said, "We will not help you in that, in hunting the onager." I got down, took my whip and chased the animal, on my horse, and did not stop till I killed it. I went to them and said, "Come on, carry it." But they said, "We will not even touch it." At last, I alone carried it and brought it to them. Some of them ate of it and some refused to eat of it. I said to them, "I will ask the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, about it, on your behalf." When I met the Prophet, I told him the whole story. He said to me, "Has anything of it been left with you?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Eat, for it is a meal Allah has offered to you." Hadith 19. Narrated Jabir, we went out in a campaign and the army was called the army of the Qabāt, and Abu Ubaidah was our commander. We were struck with severe hunger. Then the sea threw a huge dead fish called al-Anbar, the like of which had never been seen. We ate of it for half a month, and then Abu Ubaidah took one of its bones, and made an arch of it, so that a rider could easily pass under it. Hadith 20. Narrated Jabir, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sent us as an army unit of 300 warriors under the command of Abu Ubaidah to ambush a caravan of the Quraysh. But we were struck with such severe hunger that we ate the Qabāt, desert bushes, so our army was called the army of the Qabāt. Then the sea threw a huge fish called al-Anbar and we ate of it for half a month and rubbed our bodies with its fat till our bodies became healthy. Then Abu Ubaidah took one of its ribs and fixed it over the ground and a rider passed underneath it. There was a man amongst us who slaughtered 3 camels when hunger became severe, and he slaughtered 3 more, but after that Abu Ubaidah forbade him to do so. Hadith 21. Narrated Ibn Abi Awfa, we participated with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, in 6 or 7 ghazawat, and we used to eat locusts with him. Hadith 22. Narrated Abu Thalabah al-Kashani, I came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. We are living in the land of the people of the Scripture, and we take our meals in their utensils, and there is game in that land and I hunt with my bow and with my trained hound and with my untrained hound. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, As for your saying that you are in the land of people of the Scripture, you should not eat in their utensils unless you find no alternative, in which case you must wash the utensils and then eat in them. As for your saying that you are in the land of game, if you hunt something with your bow, mention Allah's name, while hunting the game, and eat, and if you hunt something with your trained hound, mention Allah's name on sending and eat, and if you hunt something with your untrained hound and get it alive, slaughter it and you can eat of it. Hadith 23. Narrated Salamah bin al-Aqwa, in the evening of the day of the conquest of Khaybar, the army made fires, for cooking. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, For what have you made these fires? They said, For cooking the meat of domestic donkeys. He said, Throw away what is in the cooking pots and break the pots. A man from the people got up and said, Shall we throw the contents of the cooking pots and then wash the pots, instead of breaking them? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Yes, you can do either. Hadith 24. Narrated Rafi bin Khadij, we were with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, in Dhul Hulayfa, and there the people were struck with severe hunger. Then we got camels and sheep as war booty, and slaughtered them. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was behind all the people. The people hurried and fixed the cooking pots, for cooking, but the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, came there and ordered that the cooking pots be turned upside down. Then he distributed the animals, regarding 10 sheep as equal to 1 camel. One of the camels ran away and there were a few horses with the people. They chased the camel but they got tired, whereupon a man shot it with an arrow whereby Allah stopped it. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Among these animals some are as wild beasts, so if one of them runs away from you, treat it in this way. I said, We hope, or we are afraid that tomorrow we will meet the enemy and we have no knives, shall we slaughter our animals with canes? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, If the killing tool causes blood to gush out and if Allah's name is mentioned, eat of the slaughtered animal. But do not slaughter with a tooth or a nail. I am telling you why. A tooth is a bone, and the nail is the knife of Ethiopians. Hadith 25. Narrated Abdullāh, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said that he met Zayd bin Amr bin Nufail at a place near Buldah, and this had happened before Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, received the divine inspiration. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, presented a dish of meat, that had been offered to him by the pagans, to Zayd bin Amr, but Zayd refused to eat of it and then said, to the pagans, I do not eat of what you slaughter on your stone altars, unsabs, nor do I eat except that on which Allah's name has been mentioned on slaughtering. Hadith 26. Narrated Jundub bin Sufyan al-Bajali, once during the lifetime of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, we offered some animals as sacrifices. Some people slaughtered their sacrifices before the Eid prayer, so when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, finished his prayer, he saw that they had slaughtered their sacrifices before the prayer. He said, Whoever has slaughtered his sacrifice before the prayer should slaughter another sacrifice in lieu of it, and whoever has not yet slaughtered it till we have prayed should slaughter it by mentioning Allah's name. Hadith 27. Narrated Ka'b, that a slave girl of theirs used to shepherd some sheep at Sila, a mountain near Medina. On seeing one of her sheep dying, she broke a stone and slaughtered it. Ka'b said to his family, Do not eat of it, till I go to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and ask him, or till I send someone to ask him. So he went to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, or sent someone to him. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, permitted them to eat it. Hadith 28. Narrated Abdullāh, that Ka'b had a slave girl who used to graze his sheep on a small mountain, called Sila, situated near the market. Once a sheep was dying, so she broke a stone and slaughtered it with it. When they mentioned that to the Prophet, he permitted them to eat it. Hadith 29. Narrated Rafi bin Khadij, that he said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. We have no knife. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, If the killing tool causes blood to gush out, and if Allah's name is mentioned, eat of the slaughtered animal. But do not slaughter with a nail or a tooth, for the nail is the knife of Ethiopians and a tooth is a bone. Suddenly a camel ran away and it was stopped, with an arrow. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then said, of these camels there are some which are as wild beasts, so if one of them runs away from you and you cannot catch it, treat it in this manner, that is, shoot it with an arrow. Hadith 30. Narrated Ka'b bin Malik, a lady slaughtered a sheep with a stone and then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was asked about it and he permitted it to be eaten. Hadith 31. Narrated Mu'ad bin Sa'd or Sa'd bin Mu'ad, a slave girl belonging to Ka'b used to graze some sheep at Sila mountain. Once one of her sheep was dying. She reached it, before it died, and slaughtered it with a stone. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was asked, and he said, eat it. Hadith 32. Narrated Rafi bin Khadij, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, eat what is slaughtered, with any instrument, that makes blood flow out, except what is slaughtered with a tooth or a nail. Hadith 33. Narrated Aisha, a group of people said to the Prophet, some people bring us meat and we do not know whether they have mentioned Allah's name or not on slaughtering the animal. He said, mention Allah's name on it and eat. Those people had embraced Islam recently. Hadith 34. Narrated Abdullāh bin Mughaffal, while we were besieging the castle of Khaybar, somebody threw a skin full of fat and I went ahead to take it, but on looking behind, I saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and I felt shy in his presence, and did not take it. Hadith 35. Narrated Rafi bin Khadij, I said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. We are going to face the enemy tomorrow and we do not have knives. He said, hurry up, in killing the animal. If the killing tool causes blood to flow out, and if Allah's name is mentioned, eat of the slaughtered animal. But do not slaughter with a tooth or a nail. I will tell you why. As for the tooth, it is a bone, and as for the nail, it is the knife of Ethiopians. Then we got some camels and sheep as war booty, and one of those camels ran away, whereupon a man shot it with an arrow and stopped it. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, of these camels there are some which are as wild beasts, so if one of them runs away and makes you tired, treat it in this manner. Hadith 36. Narrated Asmā bint Abu Bakr, we slaughtered a horse, by Nahr, during the lifetime of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and ate it. Hadith 37. Narrated Asmā, we slaughtered a horse, by Dub, during the lifetime of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, while we were at Medina, and we ate it. Hadith 38. Narrated Asmā bint Abu Bakr, we slaughtered a horse, by Nahr, during the lifetime of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and ate it. Hadith 39. Narrated Hisham bin Zayd, Anas and I went to Al-Hakam bin Ayyub. Anas saw some boys shooting at a tied hen. Anas said, the Prophet has forbidden the shooting of tied or confined animals. Hadith 40. Narrated Ibn Umar, that he entered upon Yahya bin Sa'id while one of Yahya's sons was aiming at a hen after tying it. Ibn Umar walked to it and untied it. Then he brought it and the boy and said, prevent your boys from tying the birds for the sake of killing them, as I have heard the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, forbidding the killing of an animal or other living things after tying them. Hadith 41. Narrated Sa'id bin Jubayr, while I was with Ibn Umar, we passed by a group of young men who had tied a hen and started shooting at it. When they saw Ibn Umar, they dispersed, leaving it. On that, Ibn Umar said, who has done this? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, cursed the one who did so. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, cursed the one who did Muthla to an animal, that is, cut its limbs or some other part of its body while it is still alive. Hadith 42. Narrated Abdullāh bin Yazid, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, forbade Al-Adh-Dhabh and Al-Muthla. Hadith 43. Narrated Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, I saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, eating chicken. Hadith 44. Narrated Zahdam, we were in the company of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari and there were friendly relations between us and this tribe of Jarm. Abu Musa was presented with a dish containing chicken. Among the people there was sitting a red-faced man who did not come near the food. Abu Musa said to him, Come on, and eat, for I have seen Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, eating of it, that is, chicken. He said, I have seen it eating something dirty, and since then I have disliked it, and have taken an oath that I shall not eat it. Abu Musa said, Come on, I will tell you, or narrate to you. Once I went to Allah's Apostle with a group of al-Ash'ariyin, and met him while he was angry, distributing some camels of zakat. We asked for mounts but he took an oath that he would not give us any mounts, and added, I have nothing to mount you on. In the meantime, some camels of booty were brought to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and he asked twice, Where are al-Ash'ariyin? So he gave us 5 white camels with big humps. We stayed for a short while, after we had covered a little distance, and then I said to my companions, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, has forgotten his oath. By Allah, if we do not remind Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, of his oath, we will never be successful. So we returned to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. We asked you for mounts, but you took an oath that you would not give us any mounts, we think that you have forgotten your oath. He said, It is Allah who has given you mounts. By Allah, and Allah willing, if I take an oath and later find something else better than that, then I do what is better and expiate my oath. Hadith 45. Narrated Ismā, we slaughtered a horse during the lifetime of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and ate it. Hadith 46. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullāh, on the day of the Battle of Khaybar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, made donkey's meat unlawful and allowed the eating of horse flesh. Hadith 47. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, made the meat of donkeys unlawful on the day of the Battle of Khaybar. Hadith 48. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, prohibited the eating of donkey's meat. Hadith 49. Narrated Ali, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, prohibited al-Muthla marriage and the eating of donkey's meat in the year of the Khaybar battle. Hadith 50. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullāh, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, prohibited the eating of donkey's meat on the day of the Battle of Khaybar, and allowed the eating of horse flesh. Hadith 51. Narrated Al-Barā and Ibn Abi Awfa, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, prohibited the eating of donkey's meat. Hadith 52. Narrated Abu Thalabah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, prohibited the eating of donkey's meat. Narrated Az-Zuhri, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, prohibited the eating of beasts having fangs. Hadith 53. Narrated Anas bin Malik, someone came to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, The donkeys have been slaughtered and eaten. Another man came and said, The donkeys have been destroyed. On that, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered a caller to announce to the people, Allah and his apostle forbid you to eat the meat of donkeys, for it is impure. Thus the pots were turned upside down while the donkeys' meat was boiling in them. Hadith 54. Narrated Amr, I said to Jabir bin Zayd, the people claim that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, forbade the eating of donkey's meat. He said, Al-Hakam bin Amr al-Ghifari used to say so when he was with us, but Ibn Abbas, the great religious learned man, refused to give a final verdict and recited, Say, I find not in that which has been inspired to me anything forbidden to be eaten by one who wishes to eat it, unless it be carrion, blood poured forth or the flesh of swine. Surah 6, Ayah 145. Hadith 55. Narrated Abu Thalabah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, forbade the eating of the meat of beasts having fangs. Hadith 56. Narrated Abdullāh bin Abbas, once Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, passed by a dead sheep and said, to the people, why don't you use its hide? They said, but it is dead. He said, only eating it is prohibited. Hadith 57. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, passed by a dead goat and said, there is no harm if its owners benefit from its skin. Hadith 58. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, none is wounded in Allah's cause but will come on the day of resurrection with his wound bleeding. The thing that will come out of his wound will be the color of blood, but its smell will be the smell of musk. Hadith 59. Narrated Abu Musa, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the example of a good pious companion and an evil one is that of a person carrying musk and another blowing a pair of bellows. The one who is carrying musk will either give you some perfume as a present, or you will buy some from him, or you will get a good smell from him, but the one who is blowing a pair of bellows will either burn your clothes or you will get a bad smell from him. Hadith 60. Narrated Anas bin Malik, once we provoked a rabbit at Marr az-Zahran. The people chased it till they got tired. Then I caught it and brought it to Abu Talha, who slaughtered it and then sent both its pelvic pieces, or legs, to the Prophet, and the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, accepted the present. Hadith 61. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, I do not eat mastigure, but I do not prohibit its eating. Hadith 62. Narrated Khalid bin al-Walid, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and I entered the house of Maymuna. A roasted mastigure was served. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, stretched his hand out, to eat of it, but some woman said, inform Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, of what he is about to eat. So they said, it is mastigure, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. He withdrew his hand, whereupon I said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Is it unlawful? He said, no, but this is not found in the land of my people, so I dislike it. So I pulled the mastigure towards me and ate it while Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, was looking at me. Hadith 63. Narrated Maymuna, a mouse fell into the butter fat and died. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was asked about that. He said, throw away the mouse and the butter fat that surrounded it, and eat the rest of the butter fat, as-Sumn. Hadith 64. Narrated Az-Zuhri, regarding an animal, for example, a mouse or some other animal that had fallen into solid or liquid oil or butter fat, I had been informed that a mouse had died in butter fat, whereupon Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered that the butter fat near it be thrown away and the rest of the butter fat can be eaten. Hadith 65. Narrated Maymuna, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was asked about a mouse that had fallen into butter fat and died. He said, throw away the mouse and the portion of butter fat around it, and eat the rest. Hadith 66. Narrated Salim, that Ibn Umar disliked the branding of animals on the face. Ibn Umar said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, forbade beating animals on the face. Hadith 67. Narrated Anas, I brought a brother of mine to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, to do tahniq for him while the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was in a sheepfold of his, and I saw him branding a sheep. The sub-narrator said, I think Anas said, branding it on the ear. Hadith 68. Narrated Rafi bin Khadij, I said to the Prophet, we will be facing the enemy tomorrow and we have no knives, for slaughtering. He said, if you slaughter the animal with anything that causes its blood to flow out, and if Allah's name is mentioned on slaughtering it, eat of it, unless the killing instrument is a tooth or nail. I will tell you why. As for the tooth, it is a bone, and as for the nail, it is the knife of Ethiopians. The quick ones among the people got the war booty while the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was behind the people. So they placed the cooking pots on the fire, but the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered the cooking pots to be turned upside down. Then he distributed the war booty among them, considering 1 camel as equal to 10 sheep. Then a camel belonging to the first party of people ran away and they had no horses with them, so a man shot it with an arrow whereby Allah stopped it. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, of these animals there are some which are as wild beasts. So, if any one of them runs away like this, do like this, shoot it with an arrow. Hadīth 69. Narrated Rafi bin Khadij, while we were with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, on a journey, one of the camels ran away. A man shot it with an arrow and stopped it. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, of these camels some are as wild beasts, so if one of them runs away and you cannot catch it, then do like this, shoot it with an arrow. I said, O Allah's Apostle, sometimes when we are in battles or on a journey, we want to slaughter animals, but we have no knives. He said, listen. If you slaughter the animal with anything that causes its blood to flow out, and if Allah's name is mentioned on slaughtering it, eat of it, provided that the slaughtering instrument is not a tooth or a nail, as the tooth is a bone and the nail is the knife of Ethiopians.